whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
I'm scared to close my eyes. I'm scared to open them. I'm gonna die out here.
I am the eater of worlds and of children. Have you checked the children?
Like, oh my god, it's the 1980s! With the Literary License Podcast retrospective of 80s horror films, with your co-hosts, Joe Radazzo, Vicky Ray, John Wilson, and Keith Shago, keeping everything tubular and rad.
I'm not even gonna swat that fly. I hope they are watching. They'll see. They'll see and they'll know. And they'll say, she wouldn't even harm a fly.
I'm your number one fan.
Hello, welcome to the Literary License Podcast since the 80s, where we're doing our 2-for-1 80s films, and today we'll be covering Dead and Buried and The Uninvited. And before we get started, let's find out who's with us today. We got Vicky Ray with us. Hello, Vicky.
Hey, everybody.
And Joe Randazzo. Hello, Joe.
Hello, everyone.
And John Wilson. Hello, John.
Good day, folks.
And we got Craig. Hello, Craig Johnson.
Hello, everybody.
Hello,
And
Governor.
David Grant. Hello, David.
Hello there, and happy 2022, everyone.
It's 2022.
Wow.
And I'm your co-host,
Didn't think we'd get to this.
And before we get started, let's find out what we all been up to. And we'll start out with you, David. What have you been up to since last time we spoke to you?
Yeah, okay. Well, Craig set up a great site for me called Acid Monk, which is like a platform for some new songs that I'm writing, you know. And I've just completed some stuff about 3 new songs and a couple of instrumentals, and they're going on the site this year, maybe next month. Yeah, so I'm really getting into sort of writing the instrumentals at the moment. It's like little ideas that kind of hang around your head for years, and then finally you get a GarageBand platform to get them out, you know, because they kind of sort of kick around in your head. And it's funny, I started a song this morning getting off the bus. It's kind of an ode to OCD, which you know, I can sort of write with sort of like true insight. Anyway,
You could sing to my old man.
Yeah, I was thinking of the Dick Van Dyke song from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. You know, it's they used to do a song called The Old Bamboo, The Old Bamboo, The Old Bamboo. Well, I thought, how about do it in OCD? So it'd be like, oh, the OCD, you can't get better than the OCD. You can't touch this and you can't touch that. And there you go.
I know that song oh too well myself.
I know it well, yeah. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang's brilliant.
And you're gigging, aren't you?
Yeah, we're doing some open mic nights, so that's been good fun, you know. Meeting up with some old mates and just playing some songs, and you know, and it's great. It's a great excuse to learn some new songs. Like I've been learning Something by Georgie Harrison, you know, and do you know that song Golden Brown by the Stranglers? You know, great song, you know. Yes, I'm working on that one at the moment, so it's good to get back to music again. You know, great.
Good deal.
Well, it's kind of funny with me because you never know where the inspiration takes you. I remember watching Bjorn Ulvaeus from ABBA talking about how he came up with "Take a Chance on Me," and basically it was him jogging. So take a chance, take a chance, take a chance. The way that he jogged, that's where that inspiration came from.
The rhythm,
interesting.
Yeah.
That's good. That's cool.
Right. Cool. And what about yourself, Craig? What have you been up to now that you're over COVID?
Oh, good.
Yeah, I was pretty sick for most of the Christmas, but I just got back from Time Fracture, Doctor Who Time Fracture.
Oh, yes.
I saw your pictures.
Oh my day, it was amazing. It's in Bond Street, it's about 5 minutes from Bond Street at Immersive London. And it was brilliant. I met Davros, and he had a go at David because David forgot some lines that he told him to say. So he told him to say from Skaro to Gallifrey.
And I think I said from Starbridge to sort of Edinburgh or something. You know?
We pissed Davros off. But yeah, it was all good fun.
So I got ticked off by Davros, which was a bit...
You go to get your geek on, and David, you dropped the ball.
I know. I let the whole team down. The whole planet blew up because I know. Oh boy. Yeah, on Craig's actually Craig sold a few new pens.
I went back to work on this week, so it was back to the madness.
Into the fray once more.
Back to getting your 7 COVID tests sent to you on a weekly basis from the government, probably.
Yeah, I have to test that.
They made my daughter take about 50 before they let her back on the plane to come home. I didn't think I was ever getting her back.
No.
Yeah, my little brother.
She didn't get home for Christmas, but she got home for my birthday. But she was stuck in the UK. I should have sent her to Dave's house.
Flow test twice a week, and then report our findings. Now, every twice a week. So
I don't think she suffered much because she really likes the UK, though.
She just stuck inside watching Christmas telly in the UK. So it's not
great. Still, meet me in
the first few days. She didn't sound really good, but I was really glad I know people over there. That made me feel a whole lot better.
Yeah.
And what about yourself, John? What have you been up to?
I'm actually been feeling better myself. I was sick literally the last, from the 19th of December until about the 7th of January. I was sick, and I did a PCR. I came back negative. However, that was in the 7-day window, so I could have technically still had it, but whatever I had was horrible. So I already said to my friends, I need a redo of Christmas and New Year's because
I know. I
at least got to stay in this beautiful home, and I had my beautiful fur babies to just keep me company. And I played Stardew forever. I've been building my farm on Stardew Valley.
That's awesome.
But yeah,
sorry you were sick. I didn't know you were ill.
Yeah,
well, at least you already moved, because moving while you were sick would have been just
And also my cat, a month prior to that, had a UTI. So I was like, oh my God, I can't imagine all that going on all at once. Like I would have just threw myself
out with the fur
window.
Babies. They come first.
Yeah. And so that they were here comforting me. And it is what it is,
well, you could always get a redo. There's no law as of yet that says you have to do Christmas on this day. So.
Yeah. I mean, I always travel typically on Christmas Day. So I never really celebrate Christmas on Christmas. I celebrate it after or before. So
it's just being with your family and friends,
Yeah.
And eating lots of vulgar food. So.
Yeah, well, that I did. I've never been more sick of takeout food in my entire life.
I bet. Oh, yeah.
For 2 weeks, every fucking day was breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Takeout. I was like, oh my God, shoot me.
My daughter had Uber Eats. I mean, I saw her credit card. We have a credit card we share. And my daughter, when she was stuck in the UK with COVID, Uber Eats.
Yep.
Uber Eats.
Uber Eats. That'll drain your wallet, man. That is.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah.
Great.
What about yourself, Joe? What have you been up to?
I've been working on this. I've been working with this guy that Joe Estevez sent my way. Beyond that, there was a COVID outbreak at my job, so I've been working there more than.
Still, I got it right.
What's that?
You didn't get it right. So
as far as I know, I didn't get it. I never had any symptoms, so I never felt.
Well, you got shots and got boosted, didn't you?
Yeah. So if I did get it, I didn't know. I never felt any symptoms, so I don't know if I had it or not. But I was constantly wearing the mask at work, so if I did have it, hopefully I didn't spread it. But as far as I know, I didn't.
Well, it looks like it's going to be too cold up in your neck of the woods. No one's going out this weekend.
Oh, it's freezing. 12 degrees.
I'm out here on Monday. I'm going to New York for a week on Monday. It's not going to be much better, but
a snowstorm. Are you watching the weather? There's a huge snowstorm going to hit New York.
Oh, great. Lovely. No, I haven't been watching the weather.
You might want to keep an eye on that. It's supposed to be really bad this by the time, well, depending on where you're going to land, it could be a problem for you Monday. So you might want to check, honey.
Oh, Monday's when I'm flying in. Great. All right. Wonderful. I'm going to be flying in the middle of a snowstorm. Yeah, the only thing I've been watching are 1930s and 40s noir and gangster movies. So, yeah.
I love those, though. Those
I haven't
are great.
been watching shit but that. But, all right. Great. Lovely. I might be flying into a storm.
Well, I was just telling you what the general networks were saying today. It's really going to be bad in the mid-central eastern seaboard. They're going to get like that much ice the way they're talking. So,
ooh, wow.
This is all breaking today because I literally just got up half an hour.
It's breaking yesterday, actually, but it's breaking more today.
'Tis the season, right? Winter.
I hope not. I hope you get your trip, sweetie.
So, I mean, I got to see my nephew at this point. It's been 2 years, so
that's how I feel about my son in Montana. I got to get up there.
And now that we've heard from the Harbinger of Doom, what else would she like to share with us, Vicky?
I'm not dressed like the Prince of Darkness. I'm not the Harbinger of Doom either. I was just telling him there's supposed to be a big snowstorm.
You need that sound from like Debbie Downer where it's like dun dun.
Well, I was just telling him. Well, they're making a big deal.
My name is Vicky Ray, and the world is in disarray. We're all going to die.
Yes, the world is over. It's called Snowmageddon. I don't know.
From the east. And it will come across the central.
Y'all thought it was funny when Texas got shut down last February. So, no. Well, the Harbinger of Doom hasn't been doing much. But I did watch. What was I watching? Oh, do you ever watch Fender Bender? It's like a sleeper movie where this girl hits this guy's car and he makes her life like a living hell for 2 hours.
No.
It's a really good movie. You got to watch it. And I started watching Boba Jet. I think I'm really liking it. I like The Mandalorian better, though, but I got the first 2 episodes down anyway. So we'll see what happens with the rest. But I didn't know they were going to take off from that one point. Was it Return of the Jedi, I guess?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then go forward with that. So I was really pleased with the beginning. So we'll see what goes on with that. But other than that, we're still just getting over the holidays, and we got weird weather down here in Texas. So we're just trying to get things done around the house before it gets really icy cold again. So, but we're just hanging in there, doing our thing.
That Fender Bender movie sounds a bit like Unhinged. That Russell Crowe.
A little bit, but it's a lot. I loved Unhinged. Russell Crowe. I can't believe I guess he must have gained weight on purpose. Whereas he's always been a little.
No, he doesn't gain weight on purpose. He just gains weight.
He's just portly.
He loses weight on purpose, but he just gains weight normally.
Well, if you get a chance to see it, he is such a bloomin' asshole in this movie. Oh, it's just nonstop. I mean, this guy so she beeps at him. And I actually, ever since I seen that movie, I don't lay on the horn like I used to because you really don't know who's in front of you. I mean, this is Texas. Usually everybody's packing. They'll probably get out and shoot all your tires out if you piss them off too much, So that movie's really good, though. I really enjoyed that movie.
I know, but Road Rage is so 2000. I mean, let's come on.
Death Race 2000. I like Death
Road
Race
Rage is so 2000. So.
But they're all takeoffs.
Well, personally, I haven't been up to a lot. I've been off work for this week, and I'm off work next week. So I've been getting all the editing out of the way and out finally.
Getting time off.
Yeah, it's my first 2 weeks off in 2 years, sort of thing. So.
It's been a while, hasn't it? It's been a long 2 years.
No more COVID war, no more anything. I'm going back to my normal job when I go back. So I'll be working back to my 9 to 5 situation again. So
going back to
9 to 5.
Yeah,
there you go. You're gonna get Dave going.
David will be your first customer.
I will, yeah. I've got a nice polka dot dress, and I can put it on and go,
I'll be waiting. I really want selfies, Dave, when you get that polka dot dress on there, buddy.
Well, besides that, I mean, I've just been watching a bit of television. I'm caught up with, Cobra Kai, which I love.
Oh, what did you think of Cobra Kai? I loved it. Yeah. I can't wait for the next season.
Yeah, another one's coming. That's good. Cool. Titans. Finally got through season 3. Loved it. I'm a DC person. I'm not
I
really a
gotta.
Marvel
Well, I
person,
was really
so I'm more of a
disappointed
DC
with
person.
Eternals. I won't say I wasn't happy with it.
I like Titans. If you've not watched Doom
haven't
Patrol,
seen
I
Titans
love
yet.
Doom Patrol is really good too.
Yeah, I mean,
Doom Patrol. I gotta start watching.
I'm in the middle of
it
the
after.
last season of that at the moment, which I'm really enjoying. So
Is Doom Patrol good?
It's good. I love it. I think it's hysterical. It's you kind of have to watch it and be like, what's going on? Because each episode takes you in different directions. You're like, what the hell is going on? It's one of those, it's hard to follow when you first get into it. And then you're like, okay, now it makes sense.
Gotcha.
They're all anti-heroes. So they're like, they don't want to be heroes. Every time they're like,
I love
come
the boys.
save someone. And they're like, fuck you. I don't want to even do this. I don't even know why I'm here.
I'm waiting patiently for the boys to have their next season. I love the boys. I can't wait for that to come back out.
Yeah. And I own Yellow Jackets, so I'm gonna give a shout out to that. Must see television. Juliette
That's what
Lewis,
I was
Christina
told.
Ricci is bloody fantastic. Sort of thing.
I heard it was an excellent show.
And Cruel Summer, which is available on Amazon at the moment, which is getting a second season. That was brilliant as well. So I'm catching up on this and that, and I think I just started watching Cheers on the second season of that, basically, and basically. Yeah, the first season was like, well, it's great to be a cheerleader. This one's like, one of us is a sexual predator. And this one's like, this is the person turned on this one. So yeah, a lot's happened in the 2 years of that cheerleading competition, which is a good docu series, which is interesting. If you
I want to watch that because I watched the first season going, oh my God, I couldn't believe I got into it because I usually don't watch docu series. And then now what happened with all that? Oh my God.
What, cheerleaders?
Yeah.
They got really popular. They hit like all the big time, and then it all went to shit. So yeah, it's quite good to watch. It's good. I mean, I think I'm on episode 6 at the moment. So I was watching.
I don't know how you find time.
While I was editing today, sort of thing. So.
I mean, that type of stuff you can put on the background because it's them competing, and you get to know the different personalities and stuff. So like that is like an easy watch.
That's all. Like I got Dark Shadows on when I'm doing my housework.
Yeah, I did when I do my editing. I watch Dark Shadows, but now I'm finished with all 48 episodes that we're doing this month.
I thought I know. That's why I was asking you. I'm like, how many episodes did we do this month? Because I'm like, we got behind. So.
Saying that,
I'm enjoying it though.
I did today. I edited 8 hours and done the EG Daily interview that's out, which I think everyone should be happy with. Something to listen to.
Yeah, I'll listen to it when we get off.
Yeah, I saw the link right before we came on here, so I'll listen to it later on.
Oh, that was a good interview, hands down. Anyway, so I knew it was going to turn out good. She's an awesome person.
Yeah,
she's sharing it left, right, and center, so she likes it. So that's even a better plus.
That's good. That's good. Like she's such a sweetheart.
Well, this brings us to the 80s, where our first film is Dead and Buried. Now, our two films today will seem like they're a bit different, but they're not really that much different because Dead and Buried came out in 1981, and of course, The Uninvited. Now, the reason why these two films are jointed is because this is old Hollywood trying to get into the 80s swing of horror. So what you'll notice is Dead and Buried has a real 1970s kind of feel to it, and Uninvited kind of has that 1970s script. Well, it has a 1970s script, but as you notice, as the studio trying to get into the gore aspect of things, which they weren't really doing at that time.
Right.
So that's the reason why the two are joined. But first, the film we'll cover is Dead and Buried, which is a 1981 American horror film, which was directed by Gary Sherman. Gary Sherman would also go on to direct Poltergeist 3, which, considering that his main star died in the middle of making that film, he did quite a good job putting that one together. And it's a film starring Melody Anderson, Jack Albertson, which was his last film, and James Ferrantino. It is Albertson's final live-action film role because his death 6 months after the film's release. The film focuses on a small town where a few tourists are murdered, but their corpses begin to reanimate. With a screenplay written by Dan O'Banion and Ronald Schuster, the film was initially banned as a video nasty in the UK in the early 1980s, but was later acquitted of the obscenity charges and removed from the director of public prosecutors.
I like the UK's nasty list. I think that's just so funny. The nasties.
Most of the nasty lists in the UK actually were based on video covers or video posters.
The covers, wasn't it the jackets?
The old woman called Mary Whitehouse basically would put things on her list because she didn't like to look at the cover of the video.
She's like, it's got to be bad.
Sounds like a Tipper Gore kind of thing.
She used to try and petition for Doctor Who to be taken off the air in the 70s.
I don't know why. It was very harmless.
She called it too violent for the kiddies.
Oh God, man! She clearly hasn't played Grand Theft Auto.
That was part of the video nasties list as well. Grand Theft Auto was another one that was
of course.
One of the scenes.
Another thing you have to worry about Mary Whitehouse is basically that she probably hadn't got laid in about 50 years. Well, Dead and Buried, the film made little money at the box office, but did receive praise from critics regarding Stan Winston's special effects and Albertson's performance. In addition to the film being subsequently novelized by Chelsea Quinn Yattrell, the film has attained a cult following in the years since its release. And I have to admit, Dead and Buried is probably one of the best movie posters of all times. So we're going to do a cut to the trailer, and we'll be right back to discuss Dead and Buried by Gary Sherman.
This is the road to Potter's Bluff. Maybe you've been there. Clean, picturesque, full of old-fashioned friendliness, the kind of town everyone likes to visit. This is the road to Potter's Bluff. There is no road out.
Welcome to Potter's Bluff.
From the creators of Alien, terror brought down to Earth, dead and buried.
Is there any way whatsoever to reanimate people after they have died? To get them to walk around?
That guy, the one you came to see me about last week, the one that died after the car wreck.
Yeah.
I just saw him. Man, he's dead. The same guy.
Welcome to Potter's Bluff.
When you die, you expect to remain dead and buried.
You had a very close call. Just lie still. I'm gonna give you something. It's gonna make you feel even better.
When you die in Potter's Bluff, expect the unexpected. From the creators of Alien, dead and buried. It will take your breath away. All of it. Dead and buried.
Hello, welcome back to Literary Legends Podcast. We're discussing Dead and Buried from 1981. And Joe, what are your thoughts about Dead and Buried?
It is creepy as hell. Particularly the scene in the middle of the movie where the mother, father, and little boy show up in the town is absolutely creepy. That
was weird. That was so
right. That is
weird. It's like
it's a movie that kind of grew on me over time because the first time I saw it, I thought it was kind of slow, and then I saw it again and I liked it a little more. And then last night when I saw it again, it was probably the most I'd ever liked it. And now we know why Grandpa Joe didn't get out of bed for 40 years. You didn't want him to because of the shit he was getting up to. This was this was really cool. There is one interesting thing. Dan O'Bannon has a writing credit on this. I was watching the version of it last night on Shudder that was hosted by Joe Bob Briggs, and apparently Dan O'Bannon has denied that he had anything to do with the actual writing of the screenplay. What he says happened is they paid him $10,000 to send them script notes, and he would read the screenplay, give them notes, send it over, and they credited him with writing it because he was just coming off of Alien, and they wanted to put his name on there to help get the movie sold. So apparently he says he did none of the writing on this. But that being said, it's an excellent movie.
I loved it personally.
Absolutely love it. and I started to kind of like Gary Sherman more and more in recent years. So I really liked Deathline, which is also known as Raw Meat, the cannibals living in the London Underground. Poltergeist 3, like Keith said, when your star dies in the middle of it. Lisa is another really good one. But yeah, I really love this movie. Just the kills in this movie, just right from the beginning, the guy on the beach. It's just really eerie. The whole concept of
I felt sorry for the guy on the beach, man. Talk about that was some fucked up shit.
Well, I mean,
what about the needle in the eye? You survived that.
Oh yeah. Oh, I know.
I also just think that it's like interesting that it starts out that way, because I had never seen this film and I was thinking, well, what is this? Oh, is he gonna take advantage of her and all this? And then when the town just like, puts a net around him and burns him alive, I was like, Jesus, what is happening here? I also like that I didn't really read what this is about. I didn't really know if this was a Tale of the Body Snatchers type of thing, because when suddenly one person dies, another one, it's like they reappear alive. I was like, well, this is interesting, because I wasn't sure if this is like Alien or if this is magic or what. Like, I love that aspect of it. It kept me guessing. It definitely wasn't campy to me that much. Like the only scene that I think did drive me a little crazy, and it was just to me a little bit maybe bad writing, was the scene with the family, because who in the hell goes into a house in the middle of the night and you're like, and it's all cobwebby. It's like clearly no one's been in
for
there.
Stuff. I need help, and everything.
Yeah, you're like screaming, please help me, and all this. And I that was the one scene that was a little bit off put, but I just loved. It kept me guessing, and even to the end, like it kept me guessing, like what is the thing that's keeping this town under its spell?
Right.
I loved it.
Did you guys think that?
Fantastic.
Did you think that James or Ferrantino? Yeah, James Ferrantino. Did you think he was almost too good for the role?
What do you mean?
His acting was really.
Oh yeah.
Really super good.
I think all the acting in this movie is fantastically well done. I think it's
I agree.
One of probably the better acting horror films of the 80s. I mean, a lot of the 80s horror films that you'll notice the acting, it doesn't seem to be the top of the line that we tend to get in 80s horror films.
Yeah.
And this has, I mean, everyone, and Melanie Anderson as the wife is fantastic. All the character actors playing the townspeople. I mean, they're faces that you've seen in plenty of other stuff.
Robert Englund.
Robert Englund. Yeah,
so good.
He doesn't ever stray too far from the original business, does he?
I love Janet and that monologue that she gives when she's in the church and the jig is up basically, and she's still talking to him, and oh my God, that whole scene was fantastic. Because she kept coming towards him, and it was all, you could tell it was all like programmed inside of her. Felt very almost Stepford Wife. It felt very Stepford Wife to me, just the way
very
and just was like, oh honey, calm down, and so good.
Now another thing I think you have to remember about Dead and Buried is that this is the 70s. 70s is very, very raw, and during the 70s, because the 70s was such a horrible time financially and economically for America at that time, and this is before the hippies become the yuppies at the time. This is like just the beginning of that, which basically would probably would ruin the American fabric as we know it today, because that's when all blue collar workers basically lose all their jobs, and basically America becomes not about manufacturing, but it becomes about trading money sort of thing. So we're at that cusp here. But what we have in Dead and Buried is basically this. If you notice, is what was very popular, what we loved at this time was we loved how life was before the 70s. The Waltons was the main thing, the 30s and 40s, which is Dead and Buried's main aesthetic, is about the post-war America. If you look at the way that they're dressed, the way that the town's put together, the way that their fashion designs are and stuff like this. And if it wasn't for the modern cars coming into this town, you wouldn't even know that it was set during the 80s at all.
Yeah,
sort of thing. And you have that, and so basically, Jack Albertson plays this person who's basically is stuck in the 40s, basically, and basically recreating this town in that 40s.
So evil in this.
I mean, I don't think it's
glasses,
evil.
And it's just like, oh god.
I don't think he was evil. I think he was just sort of like he
Crazy?
wanted to now that like he's saying that he wanted to keep that period, that time the way it was, right? And he was able to kind of suspend things in time and keep everything monotone too, which if you notice, like you were talking about the fashion, like everything was in gray and white and beige and anything that came in with color was like the family came in, even the girl that comes in to the town, like everyone had some sort of color, but then went monotone, very monotone because
it was very
like
Twilight Zone-ish.
Yeah, I loved it.
Outer Limit kind of thing.
One of my other favorite scenes is just special effects wise when he's building the person again, the one that her head gets smashed in.
Oh yeah, where they're doing it on the table.
So amazing.
That was
that
good.
type of special effect was fantastic, and
I
it
wasn't
didn't
expecting
look
that either.
cheesy or campy at all. It just looked so cool.
That was a very cool scene.
You know, it's interesting because I didn't even connect this until Keith just said this a minute ago. The movie opens with a black and white snapshot of the town of the main street that you see, and it basically is like Keith said. It is kind of frozen in time, and that does seem to end up being kind of the theme of the movie. And I didn't even put that together. Still on my third or fourth viewing now.
But even look at the way that it's filmed as far as the film stock is. The film stock used is very grainy. Even if you get the Blu-ray, it's a very grainy film stock. It's a very 70s kind of late 60s film stock that they're using.
You think it's purposeful?
I think it's very purposeful because the thing is that even when you get the Blu-ray or they try to clean up, they can't clean the film up, sort of thing. Yeah. And it's not because digitally, it's just the way the film is. It's a bit like when you watch The French Connection or Serpico or one of those films in the 70s that has that grainy film. And even when you get it on Blu-ray, it keeps that, it's not made to have this shiny 80s kind of gloss over it. Because glossy films in the 80s become very, very glossy, which we'll see in the next film.
80s definitely has a distinctive look. You always know when you see an 80s film or even a 90s film for that matter. What decade that movie was made in?
That's almost any movie.
But Hollywood also in the 80s, you have to remember, were covering up a lot of things. They had to make everyone look a lot richer and a lot cleaner and a lot a different way, because they didn't want. 70s was full of realism. Whether you're looking at TV sitcoms, whether you're looking at Good Times, the Jeffersons, are all in the family, and it's all the hell. Everyone lived very, very poorly. Movies, Serpico, The French Connection, 70s films, and stuff like this. Yeah. Then realistic. Basically, then what happens in the 80s is all of a sudden we have a new hyper reality of what America and what the world wants to see. They don't want to see real life anymore. So we get things like Dallas
Dynasty.
Yeah. If you notice your
Knots Landing.
All of a sudden it's like the Cosby. Everyone's very, very rich. Everyone's living in huge homes. Everyone's very, very cosmetic.
Well, the 80s was like, what does the saying go? Nothing succeeds like excess or something.
Yeah.
And basically, it was showing that, society, that all of a sudden now we're all middle America. We're all middle class, which wasn't the case at all at that time anyway. I mean, basically, it's just a facade that was, it was a marketing campaign, basically, that this is what we are, sort of thing, even though the reality is probably, like most Americans go, most people ask me about America and they go, I watch America, I watch Friends and stuff like that. I go, well, actually, if you want to see real America, you're probably more like Roseanne than it is like Friends. More people like Roseanne than there are a bunch of 20-something living in a flat that they can't afford in Friends, sort of thing.
Well, that's, when women started watching like Sex in the City and how glamorized, like, first of all, it is fantasy. Right. There's no way in hell a struggling writer can afford Manolo Blahniks every fucking week to get a pair of shoes. Not a chance in hell.
$500 shoes.
Yeah. And then all of them, just their lives, like you see them doing more things together than then how are you working? Like, you're always together. How do you work then if you're
not supposed to think about those things though?
But women saw that as like, oh my God, it's New York City. And that's what New York City is. And it just that feeling of glamorous living and like, lo and behold, you come here and you see someone taking a dump on the subway and you're like, oh, nope, that's not Sex in the City.
Depends on which train you're on. Which neighborhood are you in?
What city are you in? Yeah. You should have been in
And
Newcastle in the
probably,
80s.
and I also think that's probably the reason why Dead and Buried didn't do fantastically well at the box office as well, because the viewing was changing. You also have to look at the pacing of this film as well.
Yeah.
MTV will start taking off, and the pacing starts becoming a bit more fast edited, and things start moving at a more faster pace. And as a Dead and Buried kind of works at its own pace, sort of thing. It does feel like it's hard to believe it's 1981 because it does feel like a 1977 film.
I don't know. It screams 80s to me. I don't know. But there was something about every time I turned this movie on, it was like late at night and I kept falling asleep. It's like, damn it, I fell asleep during this movie again.
Well, it's 1981, so it's very early in the 80s. So it's,
but I don't. It didn't seem 70. You know what screams 70s to me? I spit on your grave. This just didn't.
I get what Keith is saying, because you kind of have that small town. I'm glad that they didn't take a traditional approach, meaning like an actual, town cul-de-sac, that they picked like a coastal town, and it just made it also feel like an island in a way. Like it felt trapped. I felt at times when I'm watching it.
It was isolated, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like it was people were getting lost in this fog of coming to this town, then they end up there, or they're there for mysterious reasons. And you can't really do that to me in a suburb. Like you can't really, put that in there. And that's to me also maybe what made it feel more 70s and 80s, because 80s would have felt like small town.
It definitely has supernatural in it. I mean, how was he making these people regenerate? They don't really tell you anything. And why does he kill so many people? Is it because he wants to enlarge his family? Is that what he's doing?
I think he has to, in order to, he has to create a tragic kill in order for the spell to work. And so
is that why?
But I don't think it's like he's entrusting them to do all this. So I'm assuming it started with, he said Janet was the first. So it started with Janet, and then it went down from there. It was like, well, I can do this to anyone now.
Yeah.
And so he was doing it. And maybe he started with the town at first, and then he ran out of people. And now it was anyone who came into town, we're just going to take them out,
did you guys find yourself surprised by everything that happened as this movie went on? Because I didn't see a lot of, I didn't see that coming kind of thing.
I just didn't know. For me, I didn't know why the charade of the sheriff. Was it because
he didn't know he was dead? That was
but that's my point. Is at one point was it his first time coming into reality that he was dead? Because everyone else at one point kind of the jig was up, and I think they were somewhat aware, or maybe he was making them aware. But for him, was it his first instance of reality that, oh, I'm no longer alive? And it was his way of trying to get him to be comfortable with that, maybe. And so he put him on a cat and mouse game to get him to get to that point where it's like, oh, you're dead. And I didn't understand that.
He was dead, and you thought he was a regular officer the whole movie.
Yeah. He didn't know until he saw the film, right? He didn't know until he saw the film, but I didn't get the whole cat and mouse game that was being played.
I didn't at all. I didn't see any of that coming at the end.
I don't know.
I kind of thought it was
intentionally a cat and mouse game. It might have been they kept him in the dark because when people come in, there's got to be somebody who they can feel is kind of normal. Maybe that's it.
Well, it wasn't a very big tourist trap. That's for sure. There wasn't.
It'd mainly be people passing through. Yeah,
getting gas was probably
passing through is a good thing.
Well, I mean, it is probably a coastal town in Maine, so I mean, I guess most interstates don't go along a coast really. So I guess it would be if you got off the beaten path. I imagine the town itself.
There ain't a whole lot going on in Maine either.
There's a little bit of conceit in Jack Albertson's character too, because he says sometimes that he has to kill them because he can make them more beautiful than when they were alive. So there is a little bit of conceit in why he does it.
Yeah,
like he says straight up, "This is my art." So there's
another thing we also find out through him as well is that they need him as well because he has to keep touching them up.
Yeah.
That would be a real
phrase. That one.
It's like a death becomes her. Like, okay, I need a patch for her. Can you fix this?
She blows a hole through Meryl Streep's stomach or something.
So good. I love that movie.
I have to rewatch that movie. I actually recently saw a video about it. I'm like, I really need to watch that again. I haven't seen it since the 90s.
It's a great movie. I love it.
And it also felt, for some reason, it gave me feels of Waxwork, which I love that movie as well, where just coming into this town where everything is sort of preserved like that way.
I think one of the most haunting scenes in it for me is when Melody Anderson just goes, just bury me, and she's like trying to cover.
Just bury me. Oh my God, wow. I know.
And they all come and they kind of like congratulate him too, which just kept adding. They're giving him flowers. It was.
I know. It's like, what was that all about? Were they happy they buried her?
I think they were happy that he was aware. Like it's like you're the only one who's not in on everything, right? So they were happy that he was aware of what he is now or what she was. He wasn't aware then, though, right? It was still
He wasn't aware until the very end.
So but Melanie, was it about what's her name?
Janet. Melanie Anderson or the
Janet.
Yeah.
Well, she knew towards the end that something wasn't right, correct? Because she was telling him to marry her.
She knew from the beginning because she murders James Ferrantino.
Right.
She kills him.
No, but he had her under his spell. The mortician did. So I think it was.
Well, what changed when she died and she said, "Just please bury me"? What changed?
I think he kept shooting her, and then she was like,
she got repeatedly shot over and over by the guy that she's, by the guy that she's married to. And I think that basically, that's when she probably just come through. Because the question is that this does hark to the simple fact that voodoo Haitians, there's the zombie drug that they had that they basically reanimate the dead. And it's basically about reanimation of the dead, not through science, but more through the black arts.
Yeah.
So the question basically is that I think the townspeople, you're under a spell. And if that spell can be lifted, if the person who's put the spell on your dead reanimated corpse decides to. And it seems like with most of the townspeople anyway, they seem to be under the control of Jack Albertson's character. And I think, but with Melanie character or Janet's character, she was the first. So therefore, I think she was more privy to what was going on, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is, what we don't know is that how long has James Ferrantino been reanimated for? Now, he could have only been reanimated for a couple of weeks, for all we know. Because, like I said before, they need to be retouched. So basically, when you're put back into your life, because we do see the victim, like the photographer, now is a
gas station attendant.
Gas station attendant. Yeah.
Now the question basically is, what memory does he have before that, or does he have a memory that he's always been there?
Yeah.
We don't know that.
Well,
I wish they would have killed him off in a better way, though.
The only other one too, which was interesting, was they killed the doctor. And so was he one of the last of the town? Because up until that point, he must have been,
because he was alive.
Up until that point, everyone else were strangers that were coming into the town. So that was like, how many people died
thing
first?
Is that if everyone in the town is reanimated, maybe he was, once all the humans are dead and they're now reanimated, question is, do you need a doctor anymore?
Yeah.
So the doctor would be the last person you would basically need in your town, because there's no one alive to get sick anymore. So once you get rid of colds and flus and all the other stuff, you don't really need a doctor there anymore. So it could be he got a bit too close to the truth, but it seemed like, it seemed like basically everyone was a pawn on this chessboard, and basically the god is Albertson's character, basically.
Yeah.
And so I would sit there. And now another thing is, was Albertson killing people all the time? Probably not. I imagine.
Who's going to fix him up? He's dead.
Well, no, he fixed himself up.
No, he was gobbing on lipstick and stuff like that. It's just like, well, this isn't going to end well.
Oh boy, it's a bit like
didn't he embalm himself? Like he shoved up in his he embalmed himself,
and he brought himself.
He's good.
He was bringing himself back.
Talk about multitasking.
Yeah. I think that's also what gave him more power, because up until that point, I think if you notice, when he gets shot by Sheriff Dan, that's when everyone starts to crack, and you could see they're now falling apart, right? So maybe his mortal body is what keeping them like the way they are. So because then when he comes back, he's fine again. So he's literally patched himself up and he's like, see, I needed you to do that. So now he's even more powerful because he's an undead, basically, you know?
Well, we also saw the young guy as well with touching himself up as well.
Yeah.
That's right. I was wondering what he was doing. I didn't catch that. I did. You know.
Now, I imagine probably, you know, as I see the reason why they were killing tourists, I don't think they were killing every tourist that came through. I think basically, from repeat viewing, is that basically the older people that died, as they were dying, he was reanimating them anyway.
Yeah.
So basically, they weren't being murdered, and as the townspeople were dying, they probably were being reanimated. I imagine that when the photographer became the gas station person and different key roles within the town. Now, the thing is, you have to keep a town running and a town working. And I imagine that maybe the gas station person previously basically might have died out of town, or basically is that they tried to bring him back, but maybe it didn't come back successfully. So they had to replace this person because you need this role in your town, sort of thing. So maybe that's the reason why they were killing some of the tourists coming through, because they needed someone to replace someone that didn't come back as they planned or was missing or whatever, to replace vital members of your community, quote unquote. So that's how I kind of looked at it.
Yeah, like in chess, you know, where a pawn can become a queen or another piece, like, you know, and it's like, well, not very good.
I also kind of wondering if,
I also think he didn't bring some of them back because, like, remember the older woman that he was working on? I didn't see her, so I think he was like, I'm going to give you that piece because you live too long. You're good. Like, you don't need to, like, you know.
Or does he bring her back later on, which went outside the sheriff knowing, sort of thing?
Yeah,
you know, sort of thing. I mean, you know, I don't know how many reanimated corpses needed piano lessons because she was a piano teacher, but who knows? Maybe
you need any plasters in that town? Because I mean, I could always reanimate myself and, you know, kind of do it.
The question basically also is the kids. Are the kids reanimated? Or because he does kill the family and
no, they got away, didn't they?
No, they drove off a cliff. They drove off a cliff. They died. Yeah, because remember the redhead was there with them at the cemetery. So the family was there.
Oh, that's right. Okay. I had nothing.
So that means that the kids are reanimated. So now we have a classic town with kids who are never going to age.
Right.
Well, yes.
Okay.
Well, because of one kid, there was only one kid in that entire film. Most of them were teenagers, remember? Right. And one of my other favorite scenes is when Dobbs is like, "Oh, hey, Sheriff, are you looking for whatever his assistance is, like his marijuana?" Like it's hidden behind him. It's all just joshing him. I love that. It was cute. I love the banter.
Yeah, right at the beginning. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, you say that, but you have to remember we do visit Janet's classroom where Janet's giving a course on witchcraft.
Right.
And that's school.
That's right. Yeah.
What about the police secretary?
By the way, that was such a normal lecture. By the way,
yeah, it was
like, you know.
Yeah. It's like when in The Wicker Man, you know, when the policeman comes into the classroom and they're teaching all this like paganism, you know, whatever, and it's like, you know, you teach this to the children, this kind of thing, you know. It's kind of normal, you know. You're from Newcastle,
but a great way to do exposition, by the way, because they didn't have that. It was a natural way of like explaining the dark arts and everything.
Yeah.
Well, I think you find that in every horror film anyway. When there's a classroom, the time that all the murders are happening or something really horrible is happening in this town, that's the one time the teacher's like teaching, like, you know, the ghost of Macbeth, like you get in A Nightmare on Elm Street. It's like, oh, this is or I think we get it in like Halloween when Laurie Stroud's sitting in the classroom and you talk about, and when strangers come back to visit a town and they need to seek revenge, and you're like, okay, well, this is quite good that you're teaching this at that time this is happening.
What about what is it? Betty was Betty the police secretary? Was it Estelle Owens?
I think the whole town basically is.
Betty was like the only one that knew what was going on, though.
Voodoo.
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
Yeah, but I think that's probably the genius. If you're going to reanimate a whole town using voodoo or whatever courses that you're using, then you want, the thing is, you don't want your characters to be perfect, because if they're too perfect, things are a bit weird. It's a bit like you want people a bit off kilter, odd personalities running around. Otherwise, your town's going to stick out like a sore thumb. So you get like these odd things, people running around. True. You got more of a society than you have Disneyland. You don't want a Disneyland town. You want a bit more.
Yeah. Well, this is far from Disney.
Off the wall. Yeah.
Yeah, not so manufactured. but maybe maybe the reason why she was all over the place basically is, but then again, she could be playing a role as well, because I put that on your desk since you see that on your desk, but maybe she didn't. Maybe this is to get him into the realization that maybe this is all a game to get him to realize exactly.
I thought zombies didn't have free will. I thought that was the whole basic premise.
I think it depends if you're talking about Haitian zombies or you're talking about George Romero zombies.
Okay.
Asian zombies.
Asian zombies.
Wes Craven did cover in a film about the voodoo powder drug in the 80s.
The Serpent and the Rainbow.
Say they're more like big giant voodoo dolls. That's what they are. They're not zombies. They're meant to be golems in a way, like to be able to control and move. And
Okay.
I guess when they're reanimated, I guess he's programming them at the same time about exactly what their role is and what their personality is. Or
Yeah, he says in there that the only memories they have are the memories he gives them.
Right.
So he's programming them to be exactly what he needs them to be in this town.
With the exception of Janet. So he kind of gave her a little bit of free will because she was the first. So I guess he had some endearing, or she had an endearing quality.
She was his favorite, but he decided to give her to Officer Dan.
Well, no, she was the first though too, because her car crashed, and I think that's where it started with her.
When he realized,
I do remember him saying something like a couple of months ago. So there is a time of how much time has passed, and so 2 months or 3 months that this has all happened.
Because this looks like this has been going on for years, almost.
Yeah. Another thing is you don't know how much of it's like facsimile as well. It's like when you had the facsimile, and basically you ran off, and your first copy is the best, but then as you go on, they get weaker and weaker.
Yeah. What would be interesting is Dobbs got fired for doing something somewhere else, and he moved to this town. So it would be interesting if they ever did like a prequel.
Well, he was messing with corpses in the town before.
Well, that's what I mean. What if he'd had to start somewhere else, and it kind of like blew up in his face, and he's like, time to move. You gotta go to a small town.
What a busy little bee he's been.
He was. Him and those glasses, though. What is it?
Another interesting
very classy. I have to say, him playing his music in his hearse when he's driving up. I was like, oh, here comes Dobbs. And he's playing the music. It was so good.
I mean, another thing you have to remember that it's another film that once you watch it and then you start reflecting on it, the question is that when you first see Dobbs and the way everyone in town is talking to Dobbs, is like he always existed in this town. It's only as James Fiorentino's character starts investigating more in it, and then basically comes up that Dobbs hasn't been in the town that as long as he remembers. So you also have that as well, that basically, that you're under the impression that everything's this way, but then as he starts unraveling this mystery, you're going to find out that basically everything that you thought that you knew, you don't really know, because, James Fiorentino realized that Dobbs, when he mentions Dobbs has always been in town. There's never been another, mortician in this town except for Dobbs. Yeah. And we later find out past movie when basically he gets some information through that basically, Dobbs hasn't always been in this town. What's going on here?
Well, not only that, as the relationships, did he build those relationships too? So if he's implanting memories, he can be like, oh, you were friends with this person, you're married to this person, and it really had nothing to do with him. Like, basically, he could literally reprogram you and say, this is your new role, right? So you would, if you become aware, I'm thinking you would say, wow, I don't even know what's my real world. Like, what's my reality? I think that's why he shoots him, because he's now, Dan's reality is completely blown. Like, is his wife not only alive or dead? Is it his wife? I think it's just...
also, I think that I don't think Dan's personality or everything's found out because he's solving a case. I think basically that they're giving him information to make him solve his own case. I mean, why?
What was the purpose to?
I didn't understand that either. I didn't understand the cat and mouse part of it.
Because basically, at some point, he needs to come to realization of what he is. And the thing is maybe he does this with all the townspeople, sort of thing, that maybe you have to let them figure it out, because if you don't want information overload, and you need to have acceptability to make sure that someone works at their whole capacity, and you're going to have control of them. You got to have, it's like you cannot hypnotize the person who does not want to be hypnotized. You have to make sure that they're able to have some acceptability to it. So basically, in order for him, every 2 or 3 months, and touch-up time's going to come for good old Sheriff Dan here. Because if you look at the way the film is structured, sort of thing, is that, it's kind of like, why did the first corpse need to be found in that sort of, why didn't they just take him away to be reanimated? No one would have been the wiser. But no, we need to have this mystery sort of thing. Why is it important that he gets this bit of film that the students apparently have been working their time on? Why does he need to have it developed when we know that he needs to see this film anyway?
Yeah.
Why do and if you look at the way things are in the film and the way that it unfolds, he's basically on this destiny plan that he can't get off of, sort of thing. And I think everything's pre-planned for him. And then by the end of it, basically, like, he's trying to dig his wife back into her grave and trying to dig her out, and his hands get ruined. By that time, he's come to a realization of what he is. And of course, he goes, and that's where we get the ending of it.
Yeah, there's this thing called scotoma, where you only see what you want to see. And it seems to go through the thread that goes through the movie like that. And I was thinking about that. Like, it's quite interesting. Like, I think, get this. This is another theory where, like, the whole world's already gone, and it's just our ego that keeps us locked into this scenario, So it's almost like we just create other people to basically a soundboard to kind of talk out our ideas now, So you invent all these scenarios. Maybe in a sense that's what the zombie thing is. The guy's got somebody who are compliant, but only to a certain point.
Yeah. Well, imagine, by the way, having everyone sort of be compliant. You want someone to kind of poke around to make them feel alive. Like, imagine if you're the only one alive and you're like, okay, everyone is like, hey, Mr. Dobbs, how are you? Hey, Mr. Dobbs, how are you? And it's like, oh, crap, I want something. And he uses him as a way of, okay, I'm going to use you to, because he is a detective. So in a way, it's like he is going to put him on a mission to solve something, and it gives him something to do. Oh, wait, you got a murder? Oh, okay, let's go on a so it's like, is he creating his own entertainment? That's what I was also thinking.
What about Lisa Blount? Was she pigeonholed into a certain characterization back in the 80s or what? She's always playing the bad, sexy girl,
She was great, sad because she commits suicide in real life about 6 years after this.
Did she really?
Wow. If anyone was to ever redo this film, I immediately thought of what's her name from plays Harley Quinn. She looks so much like her. It's driving me crazy.
Oh God, let me look. That's going to drive me nuts.
Yes.
Hugo Weaving.
She was in The Wolf of Wall Street.
Yes.
Yeah.
Margot Robbie. So if Margot Robbie ever played, she looked just like her. And every time I was seeing the scenes, I was like, this looks like Margot Robbie.
And she's kind of the badass, sexy girl now.
Yeah.
Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
I love Harley Quinn.
Did Blount die like many years after this? Like 6 years. I thought she was. I thought she was released until the 90s.
That's sad. That's really sad.
It came across my feed the other day.
She died October 25th, 2010.
Oh, it's 2010.
Oh, okay.
Because Amazon's got it like 1989 or something. Because I was watching it on Amazon. And, when they come, you can put the thing on where it comes up with like all this tidbit information.
Was that Amazon B?
Amazon.com.
I am Amazon B.
But at least these zombies were, halfway decent looking. They weren't, Walking Dead-ish or.
Well, they had big hair, so they all looked like they were in Duran Duran. So they were okay, I mean, it's nice to have good-looking zombies.
They were good-looking zombies.
Yeah.
So let's on a scale of 1 to 5, how many stars would you give Dead and Buried? Starting with you, Craig. How many stars would you give Dead and Buried?
I'll give it a 4 zombies out of 5. And I like the fact that when they were filming it, they used like the real weather conditions of the area in Maine. Like it was a lot of foggy days, and it was genuinely like creepy movie, very gory. And I agree with what John said about the when he was rebuilding the corpse. I mean, it looked like it was beautiful. The skin and the shine and everything. It was just really cool. And
no blemishes.
No blemishes.
And what about yourself, David? How many stars did you give it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm recalling it now, and now that we've all been talking about it, and you pick. But what a way to start a movie, you know? Flip it out. I'll never become a sort of fashion photographer ever.
No,
but I give it a 4, like Craig, you know, because it was good. And Potter's Bluff. Yeah, I think a 4 out of 5 zombie. I'm a zombie.
4 out of 5 zombies. 4 out of 5 definitely good-looking zombies.
Yeah.
And what about yourself, John? How many stars would you give this?
I'm going to give it 4 stiff ones because it was fun. It was really fun. What I think I loved the most about it was the mystery to it, as well as I love that small town. Something is just off and feels off and you don't know what it is. I love that feeling that carries throughout the film. Where you lose me with one of them was that family. If they just took that family scene out, I think it would have been a perfect movie. It just went from really good writing to what the hell is this? Like the writing was just so bad in that one scene that I was like,
why are they walking around looking for a fucking fuse box?
Well, even the kid hits a backseat of a car and he's hurt. Seriously? I was like, why? This is one of those moments in parenting that people should just realize that when your kid falls or they hit something, if you react, they react.
Exactly.
So if they just ignored this kid, they would have been fine. And it was, so that made me, that whole scene was like such a, there's a different way to get there. So you would have got 5 out of me if you would have removed that scene.
I mean, it didn't help that he was a bit gingery either. So that doesn't help.
The ginger.
He just doesn't
leave the gingers alone.
The way the cookie zombie crumbles.
Where the go.
Well, the greater good. Yeah.
How many stars do you give it, Joe?
It's odd. I also give it 4, but it's odd because I'm on the opposite side of John because that scene is actually my favorite scene because maybe it's because I'm an old school horror guy and it's just everything about that was atmospheric and creepy. And yeah, it didn't make a lot of sense, but a lot of movies, a lot of horror movies that I love are kind of short on logic, but it's everything that I love about horror movies, or just that kind of eerie atmosphere. I absolutely adore
it.
That.
Definitely eerie.
Yeah. It's something to love. You know, yeah, it didn't make sense that scene, but God, I love this. I love that scene, and yeah, 4 stars for me because it was eerie and it's creepy Grandpa Joe. You know,
he is creepy.
It's a lot of fun. You like I said earlier, might be one of those movies where like the first time you watch it, if you go in expecting one thing, like understand the pacing of this, it's gonna be a slow paced movie. It's a slow burn, but it's absolutely worth it. And the more attention you pay to it, the more it pays off, I feel like. So 4 stars out of 5. It's not perfect, but it's very, very
not
good.
Perfect. That's good.
What about yourself, Vix?
Well, it's a good movie. It was like I kept falling asleep here. So I was telling Keith last week, it's like, God, I kept trying to watch this movie. I keep falling asleep because we'll stop eating edibles while you're watching it. So I'll have to give it 4 out of 5 edibles. I finally got through it and I loved it.
Got to drink more Horlicks, Vicky.
She's like, wait, they all died. Now they're back again. What the hell is going on?
That's it. I've got it now. I figured it. Yeah, you give the Horlicks to the zombies.
I thought that the acting was great it's one of the few horror movies where the acting was really.
I think Craig's become a zombie.
That's why I thought that maybe James Tarantino was almost too good for the part. You know, he was. He's such a great actor.
It's a great night owl movie because I'm a night owl. I go to bed like 4 or 5 in the morning. This is the kind of movie that works best if you're watching it like 1, 2, 3 a.m.
Yeah, and you can't get
But
to sleep.
if you're a normal human being, you'd already be asleep by then. So your body's checking out on you. Me, I'm up. I'm up and ready at 1 a.m. So I'm throwing this movie on at 1 a.m. like it's nothing.
Yeah,
I feel like the mystery kept me going because there are some movies that we've.
Well, I didn't expect a lot of what was going to happen, like the ending. I never saw that coming.
Yeah.
That's why I loved this movie so much.
Good.
I did not see that coming at all.
Well, I'm going to give this 4.5 because it's one of those movies that a lot of people have seen. I'd sit there and say I have the movie poster because I think it's one of the best movie posters of all times.
It's a nice, it's a pretty cool poster.
It's so iconic for me. And then, to be honest, that's one of the reasons why I watched the movie because there's that poster with the stone head on the on the coming out of the ground sort of thing. But yeah, I love it because I love the atmosphere. I love the slow burn of it. I love the guessing of it. Every time I watch it, I learn something new from it, and the acting is fantastic. And for me, it's just. There's very few films that this is up there with me, like with The Changeling is for me, or or The Omen.
It kind of belongs in the Changeling category, kind of, sort of. Some of these movies, like The Changeling, is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, and it's one of those movies that could have been done so cheaply and so cheesy and so badly, but because if if when you read the stuff on the back of the box, it should be very.
But did they have to put the needle in the guy's only eye?
Oh, dude, that was horrible. Yeah,
the needle to the eyeball.
Yeah,
That's why it lacks one edible.
Yeah. That's why I never look through keyholes anymore, Vicky, somebody
I have to say that it's that needle to the eyeball that really
that messes. I hate eyeball scenes. Like in,
I do too. And I have to say that
the
it's
eyeball
done so well because the eye is moving around when that needle's going in. You're like, they've done a good job there.
I know,
Apparently
that's
Stan
so
Winston-
cringe. It's so
Apparently
cringe.
Stan Winston was especially proud of that effect.
Yeah.
He has one eye, and they have to stick a needle in his eyeball.
Come on, flipping it, give the guy a chance, It's like that scene in, I think it was...
I felt sorry for that poor
Lars
bastard
Dorfman.
through the whole movie.
On
He
Shannon Blue.
suffers. He was upside down in the car. I was not expecting him to be alive either. That was another scene that got me.
Oh, and you could see his teeth. Oh my
and
god!
his one eyeball.
Yeah.
One eyeball.
I don't mind a snowball, but not the eyeball, man.
Not the eyeball. No.
I have to sit there and say when he was all wrapped up before he got the needle in the eyeball, he kind of looked like Pac-Man there for a little while.
This is another
actually,
how good this movie is. We're trying to wrap it up, and we keep remembering more stuff we love
It's
about it.
an excellent film.
Actually,
it really is.
It just won't stay dead. We keep burying it and burying it. It keeps coming back.
Buried,
Coming back.
buried.
That's a
Okay,
zombie
we're
film,
done.
but yeah.
No
Because
more,
I've got
no
something
more.
in the eye. Yeah. I got something in my
So
eye.
this brings us to our next film, The Uninvited, which is a 1987 American science fiction horror film written, produced, and directed by Graydon Clark, and starring George Kennedy, Alex Cord, Clu Gulagar, Tony Hudson, and Eric Larson. The film primarily takes place aboard a luxury yacht owned by a criminal multimillionaire and bound for the Cayman Islands, whose passengers and crew are terrorized by a mutant cat. Now, we're basically Dead and Buried kind of is an old film movie making. This is kind of something where basically the film has somehow stayed what probably would have been better suited for a 1970s film than a 1987 film. But what we'll do is come to the trailer and be right back to discuss The Uninvited from 1987.
They say cats have 9 lives. You have only one.
A poisonous cat. Now how's that possible?
You're gonna be richer than your wildest dreams.
Nothing's gonna keep me from getting to the Caymans.
Now start the engine and get us headed for the Caymans.
Thing's gonna bite us, and we're all gonna die a horrible death.
Uninvited, starring George Kennedy and Alex Cord. You'll never look at a cat in the same way again.
Welcome back, and we're discussing The Uninvited for 1987. And let's go with John. What are your thoughts of The Uninvited?
It's funny. I think when I first started watching this, I had a hard time with the cat and the metamorphosis that it goes through, because I was like, oh my God, this is such a bad puppet sock for a cat. I was just like, what is happening? It's fun. It's meant to be like just like, you just can't take any of it serious. Like from the very start to the end, you just kind of have to have fun with it and enjoy all of its like glory of 80s faux pas.
It is so 80s. It's not even funny.
You know, the whole looking at the girls and the camera moves up in their body, up and down the body. I was laughing. You're just going,
you have to
God,
have the one.
80s.
You have to have the closet pervert on the boat. Of course, there's always one rapist around. Yeah.
Or the goons. Like you got the dumb goon, and you have the smart. The muscles. The muscles, and you have the dumb goon. But I love that. I mean, I think it's one of those films, like I said, you kind of just have to take all of the camp and have fun with it and just be like, this is so silly. And, one of the scene that I think was the best was her eating the bread. I don't know why.
Yes.
I don't know why. It is just one of these scenes like, what the hell? And she's just like, you can't take and keep the food for me, and she's eating the food.
I know.
And I was like,
she kind of lost it there for a little bit, didn't she?
She had scurvy, I'm assuming.
Poisoned? The cat got in there? That's right.
Yeah, the cat got in the pantry. I mean, you could tell the cat had ate the bread, so the guy was like, it's contaminated.
Before we go any further with the cat, is the cat like coming out of the orange cat's mouth?
Yes. And it can, I think it's like a symbiotic thing, because it at one point completely comes out of it and attacks someone and then goes back inside of it, and then the eyes come back alive. So it's like a weird symbiotic thing.
It's just a messed up movie.
I have to say,
especially when they see they find the cat's collar,
where it's done very well at times.
It is.
It's done really well, and you're like, it's like, oh, they did that really well. And then there are other times where basically you can tell that it's basically a puppet.
Like the attack on the two guys in the pickup truck. Like that one, it's like, holy shit, this looks awful.
My favorite too is when
somebody's head in it.
When he's biting the ankle of the guy and like rips his leg. I was like, that cat must have like razor teeth.
Wasn't that George Kennedy that he was chewing his?
Yes, Academy Award winning actor George Kennedy.
George Kennedy.
Academy Award winning. Yes, we can't forget that.
I don't like it.
Who also did Naked Gun? I mean, come on.
The Naked Gun was Oscar worthy.
Well, I have to say, I'm sorry, but if you're a child, especially in America in the 60s, 70s, 80s, George Kennedy is like your god sort of thing, because you see all of everything. There's not a
wasn't he?
He was in
he's
TV
such a staple.
Movies. He was in theatrical films. He was in Love Boat and Fantasy Island. He'd appear in, or he'd just appear in any random stuff. And George Kennedy, he just basically part of your life sort of thing.
Yeah.
Well, he never said no to anything, it seems. And you know what? I have respect for actors like that. It's just like, no, I'm just going to keep working because fuck it, man. I mean, this is what I wanted to do my whole life. I'm not going to turn anything down. This is fun.
The cat probably had a gun to his head anyway. Like, you will make this movie.
He was in love with
Clu Gulagar is in this film as well. You got your hats off to him as well. I mean,
it was catastrophic. It really was.
The thing I want to know is who the fuck hires geriatric muscle?
Yeah,
like you want your hired goons to be over 60 for some reason.
Yeah, that's a point. Yeah.
Equal opportunity employer, Joe.
Unavailable.
But then again, this is from we were talking about the same film where these girls show up in like these ripped off t-shirts and a bikini showing up this like a really.
I don't think we're dressed for dinner.
Oh my God! It's just like, why did they portray women? I don't know. What was it? Pieces that first portrayed women as stupid, skanky college co-eds. Or was that going on way before that?
I think that's happened since Eve.
And the wrestler had a love bite.
No wonder when you go traveling abroad, everybody thinks you're going to put out. I mean, it's these movies. Yeah. Everybody thinks American women are just slut buckets.
But it's funny because in the beginning of that, the one seemed worse than the other, and then by the end, you realize they both were just as bad as the other. It was like, we're totally going to manipulate this guy, but everyone was using each other. That's what was very interesting. It was they were using him.
Well, they picked these guys up. They weren't even supposed to be on the boat, and then you got them all in the kitchen, and they make sure they unbutton their shirts.
Yeah,
just show
what
some cleavage.
Do that?
Well, because again, think about this.
The
rich older guy invites you on his cruise, right? And you really don't want to go, but hey, it's free and free meal,
He's got
right?
money.
But
these free, it's for me.
Cute guys, right? We want them to come because we can hook up with them, and then the cute guys are like, well, the one guy was more interested in the millionaire, billionaire, whatever you want to call him, more interested in him than the girls, because he was like, I can make money, so I want to know what he's doing. So everyone was just using each other. That's the whole point of the.
I also thought that these bimbo girls, I mean, let's face it, they couldn't even cook.
Yeah,
it's like the guys that
they weren't even proper sailors.
And by the way, they had the most outfit changes, because I noticed this in the beginning of the film, that the henchman guys and the main guy all were wearing the same clothes for like 3 days.
Same clothes.
And I was like, what? Do you not have a change of clothes? And then at one point I was like, oh, now they finally get to let them change clothes when they're on the yacht.
They didn't even come on with suitcases full of clothes.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah.
Unless the cat put pads on us.
The girls only wore bra and underwear. That's all they wore. They would change that all
bikinis.
The time.
Yeah, they're bikinis.
I'm trying to figure out whether they were actresses pretending to act horribly to make it look brilliant, or they were really horrible actresses and it looked brilliant anyway because it was a campy B movie.
Yeah.
That was not any the acting.
There was not a lot of tit action going on in
the
this
woman
movie,
who plays the woman who plays Suzanne, the blonde of the
the
blonde of the two. Yes, she's in a ton of B movies. So she was a real B movie actress because she was in a lot of stuff in the 80s and 90s.
Yes,
I remember seeing a lot. And I'm the kind of guy that was watching the shitty low budget horror movie that comes on at Cinemax at 3 a.m. So I've seen a lot of her.
Well, that's all of us. We all do the same thing. But she was in quite a few movies. I recognized her face.
Yeah, I also think those got to be like fun roles to play versus like very serious roles of.
Well, I wonder what the screen audition was like. Or do they
we want you to do some aerobics, and here, put this on. Okay, perfect. You're good. You're hired.
Okay, you're good.
Basically, what they needed for this movie was tits and ass, and they had both.
Yeah.
And so you're hired.
And if
I imagine it was a lot like the auditions in Showgirls.
Yeah.
Here, rub some ice on those.
And wait, are you allergic to cats? Okay, you're good. Yeah.
Yeah.
But even the cat had a wet T-shirt. Come on.
When they're bringing the cat on board, that cat does not want to be there. When she's got the cat in her arms in the bikini, I'm like,
cats don't like water.
I know. By the way, what crazy person just picks up a stray cat and is like, "Here, kitty, I'm going to take you on this cruise." And I'm like, "What?"
Well, wait just a minute. Insane? It's not just a stray cat; it's a pedigree stray cat.
No, it's a cat.
No, but then the cat is like sleeping in her room. What?
No, it's a cat that escaped from a Wuhan lab, is what it is. That's what
It's a pedigree cat as well. It's like watching it's a Maine
COVID
cat. Going, okay.
It's a COVID cat. That's right.
Who is doing experiments on a squirmy cat and a fucking with an open door?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, somebody who doesn't know how to abuse animals, clearly.
Yeah.
Why would you leave the door open? The cat just scurries right out. You got to
that's right.
it.
And them guys couldn't shoot it. It's unreal.
Here's a question: we have a ginger Maine Coon cat, very big, all the way through the movie. He arrives in the Caribbean, and all of a sudden becomes a black cat. How did that happen?
Yeah, how did that happen with black?
My theory is that it no longer needed that shell anymore. And the black cat that was inside of it came out, and that's its new metamorphosis.
Is
and
that
then there
what
could
it's morphed into?
Yeah, and then it could be there's something else growing inside it. So it's like it has to change its skin. It's basically to camouflage.
You mean it had
Russian dolls? Yeah.
I thought
it had a catalog of personalities. I think catalog of personalities. Oh dear me! Sorry.
For me, I thought the reason why that happened is because they were too cheap for cargo shipping on the cat to bring him to a location shop.
There could be, and then
use the local black cat.
And then once again, some stupid person comes along and goes, "Hey, stray cat, I'm gonna pick it up." The little kid picks it up. I'm like, "Why? What? Huh? Why would you do that?"
Or the cat used the money that was in the briefcase to get some work done and turn into a completely different cat.
Right.
It has all that money.
You basically got to take this movie for what it is. It's a fun film, though. It was a lot of fun watching.
Oh my god!
Dumb.
It's definitely one for edibles. You got to watch it with edibles.
The IRS.
She's like, wait, there's a cat in the film? What?
There's a cat. Every cat's in the film.
Everything terrible
Craig
about
said
this
it was
movie is what
a
makes
cat
it a
named
great
Bob.
movie.
Yeah, cat named Bob.
Oh yeah, street cat named Bob.
Yeah, the street cat named Bob.
I also love that they, put that romance in there. The geeky guy who falls for the girl, and like, they get away and they're on their little
they're
boats,
trying to get away
and they're getting away, and no, not yet.
No.
And the first time fine, second time I was like, come on,
the cat's trying to get on the boat, then they throw it. What did they throw it? They threw it
They threw one of the briefcases.
Yeah,
but they took the money out first.
Yeah,
they took the money out, put it in a bag.
But I love how he's like, it's not over yet. Like, really? God,
jumping back on them. It's not over yet.
And how do you not get like scratched at all, like through that whole process?
This movie is up there with Night of the Lepises.
Yes, yes. And I remember that was the message I saw from you last week when you were watching. You're like, this is reminding me of Night of the Lepus. I'm like, yes, that's exactly what this is.
Night of the Lepus or Lepus.
So, everything that's terrible about this movie is the reason it's great.
Yeah. I love that movie with the rabbits, especially when it starts killing everybody at that drive-in. And all these people start opening up with guns and killing all the rabbits. And they're all like, I just love that movie. It's brilliant. I don't know why I love it. I just do.
And you love it because it's so bad.
I think what we also have to look at, though, basically, we have a film that now let's add the budget, how much it costs to make this movie, which is $200,000. And for $200,000, they did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it. I mean, we've seen films that they spent over £1 million, and the special effects have been a lot worse than this.
Yeah, true.
Well, and I think it only got to the end where the boat was capsizing, where they used like a little model and stuff. But like,
obvious.
Oh yeah,
I know it's so obvious. But the fact that they had the boat and the way it was shot and everything, like you're right, for that amount of budget. Yeah, I mean, technically they didn't have to pay for a lead actor, so the cat was like. You have no lines, you have no dialogue.
For that matter, because nobody was dressed the whole time. Basically, they were making this movie. So when it says costumes, it always cracks me up. What you do? Go to Target and grab some shorts and tank tops.
Imagine they're like going down the line item list of budget. They're like
Clearance.
wardrobe, no. Lead actor, no.
I wonder if the reason that the creature goes back into the regular cat is because it's cheaper to just shoot a regular cat running around.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Whereas if it was constantly the creature, you'd have to constantly film that creature, and you'd have to have puppeteers and stuff.
It was the fastest, quick-changing cat in the world.
Yeah, it was.
Another thing that's quite surprising for a film of this ilk is that basically that though the girls are running around scantily clad, they're basically clothes. There's not a lot of tit going on in this movie.
No,
not
really.
No.
Yeah,
I don't remember any.
Yeah, and basically you get one small during the lovemaking scene, which is basically but basically
it wasn't really that much of a scene.
Pressed against his chest, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's considering that normally in films of this ilk, normally you would at least have like a gratuitous shower scene,
something. What was this rated? Was this PG, hard PG, or was it an R? They did show boobs.
It probably was R just from the blood factor, because like her neck when she does the bread and her neck like bulges out and it's like bursting.
And then
like,
that's funny what they do. They get really venous every time the cat attacks them, so they start bulging and lump.
Yeah.
I thought that they were going to do like an alien thing there, and it was going to pop out of somebody's chest there for a while.
Oh yeah.
They can't afford that
ending.
No, they can't afford that.
What's the alternative ending?
There's an alternate ending apparently.
Is there? Alternate ending.
Is there really?
There's a 2019 remastered 4K version.
The cat
gets 29 reversion in Russian.
No, 4K version.
It was riff tracks in 2017. That would be quite funny to see. I don't know how
it was released by Vinegar Syndrome, who did one that has alternative endings, a different cut of the film as well, and so on and so forth. So
I like it when they do that. It's nice to look them up with the. I can't imagine what an alternative ending could be for this movie, other than the two.
I think it would have to be. I would have to be that the couple didn't get away. Like something happens to one of them that it starts to affect them. Yeah, or the cat like bursting out of one of them.
Oh gosh!
No,
or you have the cat actually
into the lab.
I think we also need to look at the gems that this director has come out with over the years as well. I mean, he came out with Satan's Sadist, Psychic Killer, Black Shampoo, Satan's Cheerleaders, The Return,
The Dark. I love The Dark. The Dark is another one that's so idiotic. It's great.
Is The Dark the one
with yesterday?
The original Wonder Woman, Kathleen?
I think so. I haven't seen it in a little while. I'm going to look it up real quick.
I read that book, The Dark, but I remember seeing the movie. It's like, oh, okay. The book was really good. The movie suffered.
Graydon Clark's big issue is he makes these sci-fi horror movies, but he never has the budget to do what he needs to do. Let me find it real quick.
Who actually wrote the script for this movie? Was it the cat?
The cat.
Actually, it was the director as well. The director is actually in the movie. Yep. He is one of the lab doctors.
Yes, he's the lab technician.
Oh, how funny. That's cool. Little cameo. I love cameo actions.
I'm looking at the wrong movie. I'm looking at
2013, he did write an autobiography called On the Cheap, My Life in Low Budget Filmmaking.
I mean, for that in itself, I mean, there has to be, and there was multiple locations. That's not easy to do with such a budget like that.
It's not this version.
Yeah, this other one. Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's not The Dark he directed. It's Dark Future he directed. Never mind. I got my bad B movies confused. He didn't direct The Dark. He directed Dark Future.
Because the other one had Kathy Lee Crosby, wasn't it, or something like that? She was the original Wonder Woman before Linda Carter. So
Kathy Lee Crosby?
Yeah. She was. I mean, in the pilot, they switched to Linda, just like Cloris Leachman was the original Apollo, but she was. You have to go back and watch it. Oh my God, dude!
Deborah Winger was Wonder Woman. Was Wonder Girl.
Yeah,
she's the original Wonder Girl.
But like Cloris Leachman's as Apollo. Diana, like she's ragingly overreacting to it. So great.
Yeah, because then Linda, because it was going to be on ABC, and I think CBS. The pilot was shown on ABC, and then CBS picked up the TV series, and that's when it changed to Linda Carter, which is probably better. Because
that woman does not age.
She kind of looked like the mother from Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood. She kind of looked like her.
Yeah. Her daughter looks just like her, by the way, Linda's daughter.
Really?
Yeah.
Speaking of Friday the 13th and New Blood, I discovered last week there's a fan-made direct sequel to Friday the 13th 7. The whole movie's on YouTube. I forgot what it's called, though.
Oh, wait. I think I watched this. I know what you're talking about. Yes.
They even got Terry Kaiser back, and I was like, didn't Terry Kaiser die in part 7?
Yes, you did. Vince Visante posted it. It's Jason's... Wait.
Shoot, I'm trying to remember now. It's called Roseblood or something like that?
Yeah, I haven't watched it. I know what you're talking about. It came
Roseblood, a Friday the 13th fan film, came out last year. It's a direct sequel to part 7, where they got a bunch of the cast members back.
Oh my god.
Lars Parker Lincoln in it.
Is it?
Yes, she is. Terry Kaiser's in it. The guy who plays Nick is in it. So yeah, if it might still be up on YouTube if you guys want to look it up. It's Roseblood, a Friday the 13th fan film. I haven't seen it yet, but yeah, I'm going to be checking it out soon.
It's good. I
didn't even hear about that.
I did. It's good. It's fun.
It's in pre-production at the moment with New Line at the moment. So see if that gets on.
New Line Cinema,
wow. It's an hour and a half.
Jason driving.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's been a bunch of really solid Friday the 13th fan films over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
I watched the 2009 version last week.
I like that movie. I actually like the 2009 one, but
I think it just changed some of the mechanics. I think people had a problem with it, or they even tried to do the 80s style and theme to it, which is hard. You can't. I feel like you either do it right or not do it at all. There's a movie, by the way,
catch on to the 80s campy feeling in it, or
there's a movie that's coming out called X. It's on Netflix. Watch the trailer for it.
The Ty West movie. I saw the preview of it last night.
It looks amazing. It looks very 70s, 80s feel, and they made it look that way, and then they just kind of placed this horror theme into it, and it looks amazing. But that's how you do it. If you're going to go that route, do that.
That's Ty West. That's the guy who directed House of the Devil and The Innkeeper, which are fantastic movies. Yeah. So I can't wait to see that.
Willow's having a reboot as well on Disney Plus.
Oh,
we went completely off tangent again.
We always do.
Not 3 times.
I mean, overall, I think it's kind of funny that basically it's quite funny when you get old Hollywood or classic Hollywood actors jumping into horror films in the 80s. We do see a lot of it. I mean, we do get Kim Hunter coming in from the Planet of the Apes series going to The Kindred and things like this, and it's quite funny to see that happen. Like George Kennedy popping up in this, or
we had a bunch of them in Ghost Story.
Yeah. And most of them was like their last movie as well, sort of thing. So,
and The Changeling has a few of them. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was kind of interesting because it'd be the movies that a lot of these guys would look down on, but then at the end of their career, they're finding themselves in them. It's kind of weird.
Well, wasn't it like Vincent Price and Christopher Lee and stuff? We had that discussion before. They knew they weren't going to be Oscar nominated movies, but yet they embraced their genre and their roles.
Well,
and
Vincent Price embraced it. Christopher Lee did not until the very end.
No,
Christopher Lee wanted nothing to do with any horror movies in the 80s and 90s
until
Tim Burton and Steven Spielberg and those guys started knocking at the door. Then all of a sudden they're like, oh, yes.
When he did Revenge of the Sith and all that,
Well, I can tell you one thing about Christopher Lee is that he is not a joy to work with, so I can tell you that. So.
Oh, you've worked with him?
I haven't worked with him, but I know plenty of people who have, who vowed that if whenever he showed up on set, they'd be like, just don't talk to him. Just don't have anything to do with him, because he hated his career and he begrudged anything that he did because he thought that he should be doing Shakespeare, and anything that wasn't Shakespeare was below him. And he made sure that everyone who was working on the film with him, he made sure that it's like, I am better than this, I am better than you, and I'm better than everyone here, and I'm only here because basically you're paying me to be here. And that's what he made it seem like at every single set he was ever on.
If you go back and listen to our Sam Irvin interview, he talks about how he had a meeting with Christopher Lee about doing it, and he said, I don't do those kinds of movies anymore. So Christopher Lee in the 80s hated his legacy as a horror star, and the moment he could get away from it, he did. But then what eventually happened is you got Spielberg, Lucas, Joe Dante,
Jackson.
They all started kind of coming to him being like, "Hey, no, look, we love these movies. We want you to be in our movie." It's
what's
odd
sad
because
is like people think that's like beneath them, and it's like, why even? Do you know how many people would want that experience, right? And so I would have said if that was ever my perspective, I would say that person, you took that experience away from someone who wanted it. So if you didn't want it, why did you do it? You know,
Martin Scorsese didn't cast him in Hugo because of the time he did Julius Caesar. He cast him in Hugo because he loved him as Dracula, and it is what it is. Yeah, like he said, Christopher Lee.
Don't tell the
had a
fans that
reputation.
because they're beloved by all. All of them.
Well, I mean, as far as Christopher Lee is concerned, I mean, it's very public knowledge anyway. I mean, if you're a fan
I
of
thought
his,
he
you're going to
embraced
know this
it,
anyway.
like Vincent Price. I didn't know he hated it.
Well, Vincent Price, it's not that Vincent Price embraced it to an extent that basically this was a way to pay for means of what else he was interested in. Vincent Price had a lot of different interests that had nothing to do with film anyway. Film was a way to keep that. He was able to carry on his art collection, his cookbooks. I mean, Vincent Price was very, very diverse, and Vincent Price actually was doing a lot of on stage stuff as well. So he would do his Hollywood films, but then he would also do a little bit of stage stuff as well. Christopher Lee basically wasn't even in theater work either. He was basically just movies or sort of thing like. So I think maybe the reason why Vincent Price might have been a bit more happy with it because he has so much diverse stuff going on around him that basically he could encourage that. But I think Christopher Lee kind of wanted the Oscar-winning movies. You know, he wanted Michael Caine's career. He wanted that, but he wasn't. You know, and another thing, it was a different time back then. I mean, it's not like today. I mean, we kind of forget that today. You know, we have great big Hollywood actors doing TV series and stuff like this, and they can bounce from place to place. That didn't happen until like the late 1990s. Before that, you were pigeonholed and you were stuck if you're not careful. You know, if you were a TV actors did not graduate into film. Or basically, if you were, you know, Robert Englund will always be considered Freddy Krueger.
That's right.
But if Nightmare on Elm Street was made today, he probably could do Freddy Krueger and do a bunch of different other stuff now because we don't really typecast like we used to back then. So
yeah, that's true.
In a lot of ways, Christopher Lee was like Bela Lugosi. Once he played Dracula, that was it. That's who he was. He was going to be, the monster or the villain or whatever. And that being said, he still had a great career. He was a Bond villain. He ended up doing heavy metal albums well into his 90s. So
the Amicus series that he did, all those Amicus films he did were fantastic. The one with the skull, I like that film.
I love the skull. I love the skull so much.
That black and white film where he's that witch town. I can't remember the name.
Horror Hotel.
Yeah.
Also, City of the Dead.
I love that movie. That movie, like I said, scared the shit out of me when I was 6 years old. I still love it though. I'll watch it anytime I see it on. I love that movie. It's like one of my top 10.
I never understood people like that. Like, are you really gonna bemoan that you're an international horror movie star? Like, is that really like that bad a lot in life?
I don't think they do that now. And as Keith had said, the evolution of that is like actors now know you have fans, right? So when you start to do that, where you're like, oh, this is beneath me, I would rather be a serious. You just took all of your fans and you dumped them because nowadays it's like whatever makes you famous. Sure, you want me to play the duck and whatever, fine. You know, like if I'm famous for that, then most actors will tend to be more appreciative of it because they realize the fans appreciated them for taking that length to be that.
The most recent case of this is Ben Affleck a couple of weeks ago saying he doesn't want to do any more comic book movies, and then the news came out like 3 days ago that he's going to play Daredevil in something again.
No.
That's in like 3 weeks.
I mean,
I wonder who they're going to get.
No, he was a Daredevil, wasn't he?
Yeah, they're going to do some kind of alternate universe thing where they bring him back as Daredevil again.
Yeah. Well, God, you got Venom out there now. You got like a whole host of characters.
Because Marvel has the multiverse now, so they're gonna cameo Ben Affleck as Daredevil in something, even though
they're basically trying to compete with Marvel.
What is a Marvel movie?
Daredevil that's right. Yeah, that is right. No, wait. I thought Daredevil was DC. No, that's right. You're right. Marvel. Yeah.
I have to sit there and say though, I don't think anyone's going to sink any deeper than Bruce Willis has in the last 5 years. It's like,
how do you figure?
Like, what the hell?
I know.
Yeah, the direct to Redbox thing.
And I mean, there are films that you can tell. There are films that he's in that basically he didn't even show up for shooting, and they had to basically CGI him in because he wouldn't show up for the rest of the film. I think there's one of those on Netflix at the moment. Like,
oh no!
Well, I mean, I mean, it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? Sort of thing. I guess if you're classically trained, you're expecting to maybe get recognition to maybe, and some we do get actors who. Will Smith's one of these actors as well, and some of these other actors that basically they don't feel that anything that they do is of any worth unless they get some kind of Golden Globe or some kind of Oscar or some kind of award that will justify who they are. So he might have been one of those as well.
And then in this movie that we were discussing, you have George Kennedy, who went from winning an Academy Award for Cool Hand Luke.
Wow.
And doing it.
Look at Ernest Borgnine. I mean, look at Ernest Borgnine. He wins an Oscar for Marty, and he does Hale's Navy, and then he does all these other things because, he does love working with actors and stuff like this. So he didn't care about, I'm an Oscar winner. I want to work in ensemble films, which is what Ernest Borgnine is basically best known for.
Well, you've had all those throughout history because John Carradine was like that. He's a classically trained Shakespearean actor, but then he's showing up in like these. $10 monogram movies, and then he's in everything. Like I get the feeling John Carradine never said no to a role, but we have this glut of work of his, and I love that about him. I love that he could just pop up in something. The other side of Christopher Lee was Peter Cushing, who also was doing a whole bunch of movies that maybe were beneath him, but who cares? He looked at it as
Flash. I love that movie.
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting about Peter Cushing is that Peter Cushing loved what he did, but he also said that if a studio or a small filmmaker didn't have enough money, he would sometimes work for them for free, just so therefore that they would have a chance.
Wow, that's brilliant.
Wow.
Well, Christopher Lee, I think, lost out on Star Wars and Halloween.
How do you figure?
He was originally supposed to be Dr. Loomis.
Oh,
yeah,
and he turned it down. And I think he was supposed to be in the original Star Wars too.
He was.
And I think he ended up being in the prequels in the late 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah. Well, in the early 70s, he was the Grand Moff Tarkin, right?
No, Peter Cushing was.
Peter Cushing. Okay, we're not talking about Peter Cushing.
He was supposed to be Darth Vader, I think, or
something like that. And they ended up going with David Prowse. I don't remember exactly.
Well,
it was the height, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Well, it's David Prowse in the outfit, but it's not his voice. It's
James Earl Jones' voice.
Yeah, James Earl Jones.
Yeah. And let's face it, when you got a voice like James Earl Jones, I mean, basically, if he's going to give you his voice, you use it because there's nothing better than James Earl Jones' voice.
Right.
Remember
his voice.
The Family Guy skit when he came on. No, James, we just want you to do the voice. Even the suit didn't fit him.
Well, he's also Mustafa as well, isn't he?
Yeah. He does a lot of stuff. I mean, he's got like apps out now for reading and prayer and all kinds of stuff.
I saw him in Cat on a Hot Tin Roof over here when he did that in the West End about 5 years ago. He tops him,
Actually, no, he did on Golden Pond here in New York, and I saw him in that. He was amazing.
Oh, he did? I didn't know that. I bet you that was.
He was amazing. Yeah, he was really, really amazing.
Yeah, we had Cat on a Hot Tin Roof with him, Cicely Tyson. Goddess, I mean,
right,
fantastic actress, and Felicia Rashad as well.
Oh, really? I love Felicia Rashad.
Yeah,
she hasn't been around.
Let's get back to the Uninvited now that we've gone.
Well, everybody
4 hours later. Sorry, we were dead and buried.
Was it the cat in the hot tin roof that was in that movie?
I attempted,
but that's why he was biting
George
everybody.
Kennedy winning an Oscar, and now he's doing this. I tried,
and now he did Cats, and now we're back to Cats again.
Yeah.
How does it say the Uninvited is still better than Cats?
Alone on the moonlight of the solar day, I will just bite your arm. I will chew your head off, or something.
I'm not watching the Cats movie until they release the butthole cut.
I mean, yeah. I'm actually for our listeners out there who hate James Corden, make sure you do find that petition to get him off our movie screens. Yes.
Yeah.
I've signed it. I've sent it to all my friends, and they've signed it as well. So bye, James. So God forbid. So anyway,
cool cat. I like
Uninvited, some well-deserved stars. So starting with you, Vicky, how many stars do you give Uninvited?
3. It wasn't awful. I mean, it was a fun movie. I mean, you got to take it for what it is. It's a fun movie. It's your typical 80s kind of, fun movie. The cat is the star. Or there really isn't no leading man or leading lady. Who said that? I mean, the cat basically the acting
the cat is
right?
the lead. Yeah,
but I mean, I didn't hate it. I think a lot of people think that might not like it, but it's just one of those 80s. I mean, if it says 80s, anything between 1980 and 1991, and it's in the horror genre, I'm going to watch it. So
yeah,
no matter what.
So how many pussy paws did you give it then?
3.
And what about yourself, Joe? How many pussy paws do you give it?
It's weird because it's a terrible movie, but everything that's bad about it is what makes
great.
it completely entertaining. So maybe 3.5 to 4, just because it's so dumb that it comes right back around and becomes a great movie. The cat is never the same size after it comes out of the.
I don't think they knew that either. 1 minute it looks big, and 1 minute it looks like a regular sized cat.
Yeah.
One minute it looks like a puma. The next minute it looks.
Yeah.
You're like, what the hell?
There's no rhyme or reason to why
it lacks continuity. Like a big dog.
Yeah.
Totally lacking continuity. Okay.
Well, they were actually showing that movie in England to sex education. That's where babies came from,
Right, yeah.
It really screwed us all up,
If this movie were competent, it wouldn't be nearly as fun. And maybe that's why I'm giving it 3.5. Because I'm like, it should be 1 star. And if it was actually competently made, it would be 1 star. But it's so incompetent and dumb that it's entertaining as fuck.
Yes.
Yeah. I got he said it better than me. 3 edibles.
You're gonna need
What about
it for this
yourself,
one.
John? What do you give it?
So I am going to give it a 3.5. The half is actually because I think that, it is my sole belief that they wrote this entire movie around that one line that the henchman said, who said, you want me to wet your pussy when he's pouring the wine off of the cat? I was like, okay, now this is how someone was like, this is how we're going to write the entire movie. This is perfect. It's a cat. That's what's invading and terrorizing people. It's a cat because we need this line for this movie. So that is just my take.
I have a boat. Let's set it on a boat.
Just put it on a boat.
A cat on a boat. Yeah. Great.
And what about yourself, David? How many pussy paws do you give it?
Oh, definitely 4, because it was like it was entertaining and it was fun and it cheered me up no end, And the cat was just great, He was really cool. Actually, I was just thinking, he didn't really need a lot of directing, does he? And maybe just a little bit of kitty cat.
Nor did the garbage bell kids.
No, that's very true. But I still think he should have been in Star Wars. Anyway, that's me.
Who, the cat?
Yes.
To be honest,
Cat Skywalker. Meow, meow.
I prefer the cat over the Ewoks any day.
Boba Fett.
He does kind of look like Boo.
He did look like Luke Skywalker, I thought it. Sometimes when I had my eyes shut, but...
Well, the cat is the same breed as Boo is. So
yeah. Oh, yeah.
He looks like Boo.
So. Oh. What about yourself, Craig? How many do you give it?
How many putty paws?
Yeah, I'm going to give this one. I'm going to give this one a 3 because my favourite cat is still the cat from the Ghoulies, and I think I'm giving it a 3 because the wrestler had a really cool blue hat, which I thought was really quite good. I want one.
Oh, done.
Yeah, three pussy paws out of.
Three pussy paws.
I'm gonna have to grab that Vinegar Syndrome release now. I didn't know they put it out.
I thought a putty cat.
Well, I'm gonna give it 4 because personally, it's like everyone that should have died, which is always a plus for me.
Yeah,
the 2 people that I liked the most actually lived, which I quite liked. Even though the hero guy face changed a lot, so I'm kind of wondering. I wonder if they kind of like filmed some and then had a huge break and then went back and filmed some more. He kept changing his hair, his facial hair.
Oh, he did, didn't he?
He got more rugged. He was like, "Oh, hi." He went,
yeah, he was getting a little more outgoing and bold as the movie progressed.
Another thing is his hair length was going up and down as well between different scenes and stuff like that. So continuity was something to be wondered about.
I told you there was no continuity in this movie. There's not.
Maybe that's why they kept changing the puppet back and forth because they were like, he has longer hair. Let's get a bigger cat. He has shorter hair.
The cat has no continuity either.
Hold on.
One minute it's a little pussy cat, and then the next minute it's like big flaming black pussy cat. So
you sure it wasn't Ed Wood shot this movie? Maybe the cat wrote the script and the puppet actually did the filming.
But I sit there and say if it has George Kennedy in it, I give it 2 stars automatically.
Yes.
Well, you have to just because
another
of George
2 stars.
Kennedy.
So that's where
I love Clu Gulagar too, so that's another reason to give it.
Yeah. And it's a classic. I sit there and say that there are bad movies that you can't sit through, but you can sit through this one as well. And I just enjoyed it. I watched it.
100%.
The worst thing you could do is be boring. And if a movie is like this level of bad, it can't be boring because you're just going to sit there going, "Oh, what the hell?"
And there's nothing that tries to take itself serious.
It's so bad it's good.
There's nothing in this that tries to take it serious.
And my hat's off, if someone gives you $200,000 and it's like, let's go make a movie with it, and you're able to accomplish that and get it out, my hat's off to you. I think that
You could probably make a hell of a porno with $200,000.
Yeah.
Got the yacht.
I'll tell you this: porn films cost between $400,000 to $500,000.
With a cat.
Okay, snuff film.
Yeah,
you can even make a porn with amount of money.
It kept remind me of the rabbit in the Holy Grail, Monty Python.
That's what I was going to say.
Big sharp pointy teeth.
Yeah.
He's a killer.
He'll do you a trick, I'll tell you.
So that brings us to the end of the Literary License podcast. Yeah. Of course, next week we'll be carrying on with Dark Shadows, and the other month we'll carry on with soap retrospectives. Then, of course, next month we'll be covering American Psycho by Bret Easton Ellis and the film of the same name. And our next 80s two for one will be Killer Clowns from Outer Space and Peter Jackson's Bad Taste.
My favorite.
Where we will attempt some continuity.
You haven't seen Bad Taste yet. So Vicky, good night for myself. Good night, Vicky.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Joe.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, John.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Craig.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, David.
Meow.
And we'll see you next week for Dark Shadows retrospective. And then, of course, remember next month we'll be Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
My pussycat was scratching out on my back door. Scratched so long, poor pussy got sore. Sore pussy. Sore pussy. Just a friendly little cat. Friendly little cat. My pussycat was setting out on the front step. Sat so long, poor pussy got wet. Wet pussy. pussy. Just a friendly little cat. Friendly little cat. My pussy cat was playing out on the back lot. Played so long, poor pussy got hot, hot pussy. Sore, wet, hot pussy. Just a friendly little cat. Friendly little cat. My pussy cat was rocking in the rocking chair. Rocked so long he lost his hair. Bald pussy. Sore, wet, hot, bald pussy. Just a friendly little cat. Friendly little cat. My neighbor and I out at the clothesline. I said to my neighbor, won't you look at mine, my pussy. Sore, wet, hot, bald pussy. Just a friendly little cat. Friendly little cat. My neighbor stole my kitty, but I did see. I said to my neighbor, set my pussy free. Free pussy. Sore, wet, hot, bald, free pussy. Just a friendly little cat. Friendly little cat. Here, kitty, 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 kitty.